Welcome back, dear viewers, to 30 Days a Timmy, a dark and darker story, Chapter 8, Part 2. Last time on 30 Days a Timmy, our protagonist realized he needed a good and proper mentor. Lucky for him, he was able to find one in a fighter named Blinn. The two wasted no time digging into Timmy's basic training, while also getting up to all sorts of duo hijinks in the dungeon. Now, before we rejoin Timmy and Blinn's adventures, I have a very exciting announcement to make. For those who are watching this shortly after release, you have an opportunity to shape the story for the very first time. Be sure to stick around to the end of this chapter to learn how you can decide where Timmy's story goes next. We now join Timmy and Blinn on their fourth delve into Goblin Caves. Oh, Randall, we're doing objectives again? Well, all right then. I guess it's just whenever the inspiration strikes you, huh? Randall, you fickle devil. Even though the focus of this training was on defeating other combatants, there still were learning opportunities against the wild creatures as well. Timmy had always wondered why sometimes the bats simply will not die. As it turns out, the bat's wings are unusually hard, and Timmy sometimes has a nasty habit of hitting the wings instead of the head. The two continued towards the center of Goblin Caves. They were keeping a relatively slow and stealthy pace when they found something most peculiar. The Goblin Mage had decided, "Nope, I've had enough!" And off he went, taking the lift to safety. I can't help but wonder what manner of adventures that Goblin Mage has gotten up to on the surface. Perhaps he's had an alignment shift from chaotic evil to something more sociable. Either way, hopefully he's doing well for himself. Then they hear it. Combat already in progress in the next room. At Blinn's instruction, Timmy slowly sneaks up so as to avoid giving away their position. Blinn's ears quickly identify that there are at least a cleric and a ranger fighting each other, and this presents an opportunity to take the role of the third party. A barbarian is also spotted. Blinn gives the signal. Now is the time to charge. In they go, first isolating the ranger from his companion. Ever eager, Timmy misses, but Blinn lands two good hits. This ranger is dodgy, and Timmy opts to try to head him off on the bottom. Success! Timmy finally holds his attack for the right moment against an agile opponent and lands the killing blow. Still another ranger and cleric. No sign of the barbarian that was previously spotted. Timmy and Blinn cautiously give chase. Timmy sees an opportunity to practice his throwing. A hit! Blinn chases down the ranger while Timmy engages the cleric. This was a unique cleric for Timmy to face, though, a caster style. Timmy wasn't too sure how best to approach this. I can't charge while I'm slowed by his spells, but I can't stay at range, he thinks. Timmy and Blinn split off again, this time switching targets. Oh no! Timmy's struggle to hit rangers continues. Finally, Timmy calms down and focuses on clean strikes. Unfortunately, 3 hits aren't enough, and Timmy falls to the ranger. But wait, what's Blinn been up to during this time? Let's look back on that from another angle, shall we? Well, would you look at that? Blinn got the cleric and just barely managed to get the ranger as he was landing the killing blow on Timmy. Huzzah! Blinn hurriedly revived Timmy so that they can return to their training. The pair got in one more quick scuffle before exiting the dungeon. All in all, a successful run, but this delve left Timmy thinking something that he couldn't help but ask Blinn. I know we're training, but are you having to carry me through these, or deliberately leaving some of the kills for me? Or am I genuinely contributing? Timmy asked. Blinn put Timmy's concerns to rest and assured him that he's genuinely putting his best into these encounters. Still, the skill gap between these two is undeniable. Keep at it, Timmy. Someday, you'll be able to properly keep up with Blinn. It just will take a lot more time and effort. Checking back in on Timmy's basic training, he's now practicing with one-handed weapons and a shield of his own. First, Timmy trains with his recent new one-handed favorite, the horseman's axe. Timmy learns that the horseman's axe has a critical flaw that he'll need to learn to adapt to. It can only make a downward strike. He'll need to even further master the jumping attack that he learned previously to make the most of this single attack angle. Next, Timmy trained with a weapon he'd never tried before, the humble club. Timmy was not particularly fond of this weapon, but the value in learning how differently it performed from the horseman's axe was undeniable. Lastly, Timmy stowed the shield in order to get some training with the mighty Bardiche. Now this I like, Timmy exclaimed as he held the imposing weapon in his hands. The Bardiche had many qualities that Timmy appreciates. It hits quite hard and has a long reach. On top of that, the Bardiche is capable of a truly astounding variety of attack angles, allowing for unique combination attacks that keep the opponent guessing. All this comes together to make the Bardiche an absolute menace to contend with. Blinn even taught Timmy a kind of feint, where he should deliberately and wildly miss with his first attack, in order to line up a perfect second strike when the opponent attempts to close in. What a truly devious move. Now, as we see here, dear viewers, Timmy has gotten a bit of the bloodlust from all this Bardiche practice. That, though, is not why we're still watching. Someone is lurking, watching, waiting for the perfect moment. Clippy, our unassuming camera woman for this practice session. It turns out she, too, has an insatiable bloodlust in her heart. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds, she whispers as Timmy falls to the ground, completely caught by surprise. Be careful out there, everyone. You never know when a Clippy may show up. We now join Timmy and Blinn's final duo training session. This one, though, is something special. Blinn made a suggestion that was quite unusual. Let's delve into the dungeon intended for groups of 3 just to see how we can do. Timmy was a bit intimidated by this prospect, but my did it turn out to be quite a romp. Blinn spots just on the other side of this door a rogue. The rogue hasn't spotted them yet, and now, finally, Timmy is no longer giving their position away like a rampaging buffoon. Let's outrogue the rogue, Blinn whispers. Blinn lets loose a hail of arrows to begin the encounter, while Timmy continues to creep along the wall, keeping the rogue unaware of his presence. 2 rogues. Timmy charges in just the same, and by golly, does he land clean hits against the first one. And the second too. He's finally hitting these agile opponents. A third rogue, who had already taken some of Blinn's arrows, dropped down below earlier, unbeknownst to Timmy. The two rest up for the briefest moment before hunting one last rogue. After that last rogue loosed a stray arrow at Blinn, Blinn called an audible. "Head to this torch and go down the ramp. We're going to catch him in a pincer." Timmy's swings are wild again, but Timmy's determined. "I am not letting yet another escape my axe," Timmy mutters, regaining his composure. An absolutely flawless strike to the back of the head, and then, just as the rogue seems to be making headway, he's done it! Yet another agile prey falls to Timmy's axe. He still has far to go, but more and more, Timmy is learning how to counteract the strengths of these elusive prey. A ways further into the dungeon, Timmy and Blinn pick up the trail of another hunting party. This time, they hear a bard. Timmy draws arrow fire and has a bit of fun with cheeky door play. Timmy thinks, both a bard and a ranger. Both groups attempt to bait each other for a bit, before finally Blinn calls the charge. In they go, sword and axe ready to strike. Timmy lands a hit on the third, a barbarian, and then trades with the bard as well. Unfortunately, though, he's been taking arrows all this time, and Timmy falls. Blinn, though, is looking good and healthy and had an opportunity to finish off the barbarian. There's still a chance yet. That bard has got to be low after all. Unfortunately, this goblin mage has other ideas. 3 more hits on the bard for Blinn. My, bards can be tough foes when they want to. And sadly, the ranger has been setting up the killing blow during all this. Blinn falls as well. The two return to camp feeling quite accomplished, despite the outcome. Timmy feels he's genuinely applying the lessons he's received from Blinn and can't wait to try what he's learned in single combat. In fact, at this moment, Timmy has an idea. There is one foe during all of this that Timmy has not had an opportunity to challenge. First, though, let's check in on one last bit of basic training. You'll notice there's no Clippy for this last bit. Her bloodlust satisfied, she had already went on her merry way at this point. Perhaps that assassination was her purpose all along? We may never know. Now, it's Timmy's time to train with using the shield rather than attacking against it. From the very beginning of the training, Timmy learned that he's been holding it wrong. You want to hold your shield a bit lower so that you can see what your opponent is doing, Blinn instructed Timmy. Such a simple idea, but something Timmy would have never thought of. This means, though, that he'll need to snap his shield into position once he does see an attack, which is something they practiced extensively. This evolved into training on how to block jumping attacks and attacks from the side. Needless to say, though, Timmy still has a long ways to go before he's wielding a shield with the level of proficiency that some fighters and clerics demonstrate. Skipping back to our advanced training, Timmy and Blinn have jumped back into the 2-person dungeon once more. This time, though, they're here for something different. At Timmy's behest, Timmy and Blinn are going to duel to the death. Timmy knows he stands little chance versus such an accomplished foe, but he still wants to put everything he's learned to the ultimate test. The battle begins. Both combatants begin with careful spacing. Then Blinn, ever vigilant in his battle against lanterns, takes a brief moment to snuff one out. The dance resumes. Timmy sees an opportunity, but Blinn pulls back and punishes. Another punish as Timmy lights the room. Timmy shouts and now is ready to commit. After that first clean strike to the head, though, Blinn's spacing is impeccable. Blinn zones Timmy out again, knowing that he can win this spacing game. Timmy needs to get into a direct trade with this foe, but each time he attempts to properly close, he is punished. In this moment, though, Timmy has a brilliant idea. I'm low, so I'm going to bait him in with a potion. He's seen me potion chug before, so why not now as well? The plan draws Blinn in flawlessly. However, he still manages to anticipate the attack, and with that, down Timmy falls. Your thinking was clever, Timmy, but it just was not enough against a foe such as this. At this point, Timmy thought, "That's it, that was my shot." But Blinn dissuades him. "That jumping attack was solid. Nice one. Now, how about we go again?" Timmy is overjoyed to hear that Blinn is giving him a second chance. Even one more connected attack in the next encounter will be a success. First, though, Blinn will need to revive Timmy. That could prove to be a difficult task. Now, we've already seen what Blinn is capable of, dear viewers. What happens next, though, is truly something to behold. While attempting to revive Timmy, Blinn gave an absolute masterclass on how to properly play from behind. We don't have time to fully view each encounter now, but perhaps with Blinn's permission, we will include the full footage from his perspective as a behind the scenes in the description. For now, enjoy the killing blows. With Timmy revived and rested up, it's time for round 2. The dance resumes. Timmy's more careful with his spacing this time, but he knows he absolutely needs to commit. Timmy pulls back to reset his spacing, and then a chop to the legs. Slide, Timmy! Blinn has to use his second wind. Well done, Timmy! A masterful block by Blinn to prevent a second blow to the head. Timmy's on the ropes now, but he's not giving up. Another jumping attack, blocked, and then
Welcome, punch!
It was an outstanding effort, Timmy, but it appears the student does not become the master this day. Timmy returned to town from his final training session with Blinn, truly inspired. He couldn't wait to put the things he'd learned into practice in further hunts. He was particularly interested in that bardiche he got some exposure to. Timmy, however, was also interested in that troll he briefly encountered. This presented Timmy with a true conundrum, both testing out the bardiche against enemy combatants and going after the cave troll are tempting opportunities. And this is where you, dear viewer, must help Timmy decide. Should Timmy fully commit to learning the ways of the bardiche, or should he try his luck against the cave troll? Vote now in the comments by adding one of the 2 comments on the screen. Feel free to further elaborate if you'd like to try to convince others in one direction or the other. Remember though, with great power comes great responsibility. If this goes well, we have absolutely astounding choices in store for our viewers in the future. That's right, y'all. We're going to choose your own adventure up in this bit. Randall, have you been messing with the teleprompter again? How many times have I told you, you are not a writer?